Joining us now, Fox News contributor. She's back, and a friend of ours, Governor Sarah Palin from the great state of Alaska. How are you?
I'm doing great, Sean. How are you?
You know, I've kind of missed you. You haven't been on in a while, and I'm like, did I do something to make you mad? You know, because I do piss people off. I just was hoping it wasn't you.
No, but it's good to be back, and really miss your audience. I think they're the smartest people in the world listening to you, Sean.
You know, there's a lot of, you made a lot of news lately, and the thing that has intrigued me the most is that you talked about the possibility that maybe if the Republicans don't get out of their rhino ways, that you would maybe support a third party, a freedom party, if you will. What's the status with that?
Well, it's certainly not my first choice. You know, the Republican Party is the party of Lincoln and Reagan, and the planks in the platform are right for this country. I stand strong on those planks. I just wish that more of our leadership, the movers and shakers within the party, would stand strong on those planks with the rest of us, those who, you know, want to stop Barack Obama's transformation of America. And the way that we do that is by staying true to our principles. So, no, those who are kind of capitulating and caving and giving in to Obama and what the mainstream media would want from politicians, it gets frustrating, and it tempts one to believe that if they in the party abandon us, we have no other choice. But it's not the first choice to go there.
You know, it's kind of the way I feel. I have an opportunity in the state of New York to register on the conservative line, and I kind of view myself more of a conservative. And it's also kind of a message I want to send to Republicans that they have, in many ways, they've disappointed many of us that are conservative time and time again. So I am a registered conservative. You know, I think back to Reagan when he said, we don't need pale pastels, but bold colored differences. And he asked the question in a speech rhetorically when he said, is it a third party we need or a revitalized second party? And he answered it by saying a revitalized second party.
Oh, and I absolutely agree. I do. You know, at this point, I believe, though, that it's not up to us. The ball is in their court, they being those who control much of the agenda within the Republican Party. Say, for instance, who it is that receives the backing to be elected. I'm so proud to have had an opportunity to get out there and help put some people on the map who were unknowns running for office. Perhaps they were third or fourth or fifth in the polls in their local races and state races and national races, and getting out there because we recognize that they are willing to fight for what's right, and they have faith in America and want to do the right things and are smart enough to know how to do the right things for the country. So we worked very hard for them, helped put them on the map, and thankfully many of them have been elected. And that's been quite rewarding when you consider some who get elected and then reelected because they're supported by some in the machine in the party, and yet they're the ones who continue to be part of the problem, not the solution.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. It's interesting. I don't know if you saw the comments earlier today or over the weekend, a speech that was given by Bob Bennett, who lost in Utah to Senator Mike Lee in their primary system, which is a little different than the rest of the country. And he's blaming and lashing out at the Tea Party for destroying the Republican Party. And I'm thinking just the opposite. I think if the Republican Party is going to be saved, it's going to be by Tea Party conservatives that force them to live up to, as you point out, their platform and their stated values.
Amen, brother. That's exactly right. And that's why I'm proud to be part of the grassroots Tea Party movement. I mean, Ted Cruz is Tea Party. He represents what the common sense independent patriot who's a part of this grassroots movement is all about. Ted Cruz needs reinforcements there in Washington, D.C. Tea Party, rise up again. Let's get more of them in there.
Well, they're trying to treat Ted Cruz the way the media attacked you. I mean, he's now they think they got Michelle Bachmann. Every good conservative that they don't like, they go after, and probably more than any one person, you've been the brunt of this. I think Ted Cruz would be a great candidate for president.
When the media and when fellow politicians do that to a true conservative and quite independent politician like Ted Cruz or others, it strengthens us. So that's okay. Nobody needs to feel sorry for those who are being attacked. It means that we're doing something right.
Yeah, but you were way ahead of the curve. You're making a lot of good points here because you supported Rand Paul, Ted Cruz, Mike Lee, Marco in Florida. I know some conservatives are pretty mad with Marco over the immigration bill, but you were kind of ahead of the curve on a lot of this stuff.
Well, you know what we did, Sean, too? We went out there and we looked for candidates who would be seen as unconventional, like Nikki Haley and Susana Martinez, and did all that we could for them, too. And obviously it wasn't about me. It wasn't me. It was people who share our values and just want to hold our government accountable that helped put these people on the map, propel them, and thank the Lord they have been elected.
You know, Ted Cruz actually told me that me, you, and Mark Levin were the three people that helped him the most in the campaign by supporting him. And I was proud to, and I'm glad he's a senator because he stands as one of the rock stars, I think, in the future of the party, you know, versus somebody like, well, I was going to say Senator John McCain, who's pretty angry with me now, especially on the immigration bill.
Isn't it something, though? I mean, it's even ironic, Sean, that we are speaking of these individuals, these patriots, as being an anomaly or so super special and different, and yet they and what they represent and what they're doing should be the mainstream within the Republican Party. So it's funny to talk about them as, gosh, they're so different, and it's refreshing. Yeah, it's refreshing, but it's what all of the Republicans should be about, what they should stand on. And again, it really is just common sense, and it's holding government accountable, and it's getting government off our back so that the private sector can grow and thrive and be free, which is what the party should be the representative of.
You've had such a big impact on the primary process. There are people that you're looking at. I mean, this could be a year where the Republican Party takes back the U.S. Senate. Are you paying attention to some of these important Senate races? Are there people that you're looking at now that you think might be able to join that group of solid conservatives in the Senate?
Absolutely. As I say, Ted Cruz needs reinforcements. And we, my political action committee, the people whom I am close to and trust, we work together, beating the bushes to find people who will run. Well, I'm, of course, also very cognizant of the fact that we need to work on the local level. I came from local level of government, city council, and then mayor, and then commissioner and governor, moving up that way, knowing how important it is that we get people elected to the local school board and our local utility boards and our city councils and borough assemblies who understand government's proper role, and for the most part, that's to get out of the private sector's way. So continuing to work on a local level, too. But, yeah, paying attention to what's coming up in 2014. Can't wait for these midterms because I won't stop until we get that government that the middle-class, hard-working, average, everyday American deserves. That's a government that will work for them, not against them.
I'm worried that, at best, the Republican agenda now is only managing the decline, not reversing it. Because I really feel, sadly, and I don't like to admit this, but I think America, I think economically we're in decline. I think our stature in the world is in decline. I think it's fixable, but I'm not sure that there is the will to take on those battles.
That's why, Sean, it's important and it's exhilarating to think about getting new blood in there, new blood in the party, new blood in independent movements like the Tea Party movement to take this back because, when you get that kind of that stale air there in Washington, D.C., and too many get corrupted once going to Washington, D.C., then, yes, I believe that some just decide to sit back and let it happen, and what it is that decline of America. It's that loss of our exceptionalism. It's not too late to get it back, but we need new blood, we need new energy in there, and that is then combined with the experience that some of the elders do have, and you can all work together on getting things done, but I'm all for new energy for America.
Well, there's been talk you might run for senator in Alaska. Have you considered that at all?
I've considered it because people have requested me considering it, but I'm still waiting to see, what the lineup will be, and hoping that there again there will be some new blood, some new energy, not just kind of picking from the same old politicians in the state that come from political families that have sort of reigned up there for so many years because too many of them have been part of the problem. But I'm glad you brought that up because Senator Mark Begich has got to be replaced. He has not done what he has promised to do for the people of Alaska, and that was to represent what it is that the nation needs in terms of energy development and so many other natural resource development issues that are near and dear to an Alaskan heart. Because he's on the wrong side of the aisle, he has to go along to get along with his Democrat leadership, and that's a shame. That is a waste of opportunity for our nation.
If you think that whoever's running doesn't have the ability to win, and you think you could, would that propel you into the race, do you think?
Well, I think any American with a heart for service has to always have in the back of their mind that they would do everything that they could to help the cause, even if perhaps if it's something that doesn't look necessarily appealing or necessarily fitting in with a conventional plan that they would try to orchestrate for themselves and their family. I, along with anybody, would have to say that I would do whatever I could to help, and if that was part of that help, then it would have to be considered.
Can you believe, and I saw your comments about John Kerry hanging out on his yacht in Nantucket in the middle of the time where Egypt and the military there is ousting President Morsi, this government has been supporting a Muslim Brotherhood terrorist group that had been in charge, and we've been giving them F-16s and tanks and giving them $1.5 billion. So here's a moment where we can literally get rid of this guy, and John Kerry's aboard his big yacht. What the hell is that?
Worse than that, though, was that we were lied to again by our government, just like we have been lied to regarding Benghazi, regarding spying on American citizens, on and on and on. Sean, the State Department insisted that he wasn't on any boat, and yet there were pictures to prove that he was on the boat. So that's a bigger problem, is we cannot trust our government. It's
Isn't that unbelievable?
Situation for our country to be in, yes.
Yeah, we've been lied to a lot recently. What do you think of Snowden? I personally feel he's irrelevant to the discussion. I want to know why our government allowed a 29-year-old outsourced contractor to have access to our highest secrets.
I've said all along in every interview regarding Snowden is he's not the problem. The problem here is there is a lax when it comes to security with our information. And there is a big problem, though, with our government. I call it spying on our communications, a private individual innocent citizen of America having their information essentially confiscated. And it is a violation of the Fourth Amendment of our Constitution, where we are to be protected from unreasonable searches of property, meaning information. Until I know more about what the mission is with the Obama administration with this spying, I will continue to say Snowden's not the problem. Here again, government is the problem.
Yeah. What do you think the Republican Party, there's an interesting poll that came out, I don't know if you saw this, Frontier Lab published the results of months of research into why Republicans are refusing to go by that label, Republican, choosing to identify as anything but. Now, what's interesting is the reasons for this, the results are pretty fascinating. After looking at the flow charts from individuals who share conservative or moderate views but no longer use the label Republican, they, quote, reject the lesser of two evils argument. They articulated a loss of hope in the GOP and the affiliation with the new community and an incident of perceived betrayal by establishment GOP figures.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let me personalize that a little bit. My response to that is, when I first ran for mayor, I ran against a sitting Republican mayor. When I ran for governor, I took on Senator Frank Murkowski, 22 years in the Senate, who was our sitting Republican governor. I had to buck the system because these Republicans in office were giving the party and the platform a bad name because they weren't doing the job for the people. They had been kind of not so much corrupted, but become more of those, cocktail party type Republicans that weren't living up to what I believe common sense conservative standards should be. So I took them on and have kind of had to fight the party ever since, because you don't ingratiate yourself to party leadership in the machine when you dare take on the elders in the party who have ruled. So I've done it, and it can be done, and that's what people need to remember and need to buck up and energize themselves to do. Change it, and change it from within, and that's why, again, I say leaving the party isn't my first choice, but if they leave me, then I'll have no choice but to be elsewhere as more of an
I agree. I think this is going to be a moment of truth for them. Governor, we've missed having you on. I'm glad you're back, and I'm also glad you're back with the Fox News Channel, and hopefully we'll see you on there soon, and safe travels. I know you're going around the country doing a lot of work and raising money for candidates and stuff like that, so I wish you the best.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Keep up the good work, and especially your listeners, have them keep up their good work.
All right, Governor Sarah Palin on the Sean Hannity Show.